What's going on there, folks? Good evening, good Sunday evening. It is your Earthmaster here on this beautiful March 13th, 2022 date, about 6:35 p.m. California time. Latest quake out there on the map shows a 5.1 earthquake coming into the Papua New Guinea area. This comes after quite an eventful day today, including two large earthquakes. One around the Philippines here, which was felt pretty broadly. That one was a 6.4 magnitude earthquake. And just 4 minutes later, we had another six-pointer, a 6.7 earthquake over here on the northern end of the Java Trench, within minutes of each other, folks. A lot of activity kicking up here on the globe today. And we're also inside of a G2 solar storm. Pretty significant events. It's been many years since we've had a pretty strong storm like we're seeing right now, and a very persistent G2 class storm. You can see there on the KP index, or the K index right there, up into the 6 category. KP index of 6, G2 class storm. This is actually a pretty strong solar storm. And we were just having a chat this morning about the relation of earthquakes and solar weather. And I was kind of looking at the map this morning when we had the first incoming G2 storm, and there was no earthquakes, very minimal earthquakes. And then I happened to mention on the live stream on the update that I don't think there's really too much relation, because look, we're getting that storming right now and there's no earthquakes. Well, about an hour or so later, we've seen things really pop off here today with those two large quakes, and also some activity here of 4.1 on the San Andreas Fault. All this activity pretty much within the same time of each other during the G2 class storm today, which is still ongoing. So I'm going to keep a tally of the storms and the strength of them, and see the relation about earthquake activity. Because it looks today, I'm kind of eating my own words there from my update this morning. It could just be a coincidence, but then again, with these strong solar storm conditions, it's very possible we could be seeing a pretty well-defined link between the two. So we will be watching it pretty closely. Here is the latest forecast here, current conditions of geomagnetic activity. Some of the upper tier states in the United States here have a good chance of seeing the auroras. It is dark out, so get out there. Let me know if you see anything up around Montana, North Dakota, Washington possibly, Wisconsin, up through Canada. Let me know if you got any views of that, because I would love to see that one of these days. But yeah, pretty crazy. A lot of weather, space weather going on right now, and that is expected to continue overnight and into the early morning hours tomorrow. Let's go ahead and check out the spaceweather.com site. Talks about a big crack in Earth's magnetic field. For an hour today, a big crack opened in Earth's magnetic field, one of the biggest in years. And here's for specialists, B sub Z. Okay, solar wind poured through the gap, adding in its energy to that of the CME, which struck earlier in the day. So this increases the chances of higher latitude auroras, which may remain visible at least through the early hours of March 14th. So pretty crazy stuff. It's a pretty big crack, allowing all this solar wind stream to come in. And this is from a long duration C flare with a CME. And could you imagine if we had like an X flare with a massive CME, Earth directed? But wow, it's just absolutely crazy. Sunspot activity is kind of ramping up a little bit here with 2965. There is some flaring threat, nothing significant, just 5% chance of an X flare, 75% for the C flare. So just be on guard. There's still quite a bit of activity ongoing tonight. Whether we'll see more earthquake activity tonight, well, it's still continuing. We still have aftershock sequences over here on the northern end of the Java Trench from that 6.7. Also, activity back building behind it here in Papua New Guinea. Just had a 5.1. And also another aftershock here in the Philippines from that 6.4, which, by the way, was originally a 6.7. They both came in about the same time and within 4 minutes of each other, folks. It's pretty impressive, to say the least. A lot of westward push up around the bend here. It's possible we could see some further large movement within the area of the Indonesia area and Java Trench, so be on guard. We did have some activity out here along the west coast into the California region with 4.1 in the Pinnacles area of California, right smack dab on the plate boundary, the San Andreas Fault. This is the creeping section here. They call it the creeping section because it tends to get these little earthquakes on any given day, and they creep, just a creeping section of the fault. But they can get some large earthquakes at times on this fault system, so got to watch this area as well. It's been a while since we've had a major earthquake around San Francisco or LA down here on the southern end. The southern end's the one to watch for the big one, 8.1 magnitude possible when it comes to the potential magnitude here and release of energy that's been stored up for many, many, many years on the southern segment. We did see a little bit of activity kick up here in the Salton Sea region, right about the time where those 6-pointers struck in the same time frame, 2.1. No major swarming to take note of throughout California, aside from this low activity on the creeping section. So just be on guard, West Coast, and technically around the world for right now. A lot going on. One low earthquake up here south of Eureka, 2.4. That one into the Cascadia subduction zone. By the way, we're still getting some today. We're still getting that activity put into the dry spell, so to speak. We've seen a couple months of no tremor activity. And that started back in December. I think we're on day 8 now of continual tremor activity in the Cascadia subduction zone, with 82 epicenters today, mostly in Oregon, or I should say under Oregon, at about 35 kilometers into the subduction zone here of the Cascadia. So things starting to kick back up here along the west coast. Looking at other areas around the globe, there's not a whole lot going on throughout the States or Canada. Some activity around Puerto Rico and the Middle America Trench, but the highlight of the day today is the continued movement here in the western portion here of Indonesia and up into the Philippines here. Still getting quite a push here of earthquake activity, folks, so got to be on guard. We did see these 2 deep earthquakes here prior to the 6.7 and 6.4 today. Had a Fiji earthquake here, 4.3 at 589 kilometers deep, and a 4.4 at 523. So major deep movement here taking place prior to all the subsequent activity up here in the northwestern part of the plate boundaries. Looking at Yellowstone, there's not a whole lot going on up there either. Like I say, the Intermountain West region and the Pacific Northwest, all relatively quiet. No localized earthquake activity to report. Things just kind of floating along there at Yellowstone, Wyoming. Hawaii, what have we got out here in the Big Island? Nothing really to report. Looks like a little earthquake activity, only 8. This is very minimal for the Big Island, and especially around the southeast flank area. Pretty quiet conditions prevailing here on the Big Island, so wow. But got to be cautious here, folks. A lot of westward push. We could see some further activity up around this bend. If you do a little search for general plate tectonic movement, shows you the direction of the plates and the movement, and kind of shows you the area where the plates generally move, and that's kind of what we're seeing, the westward push here from all that deeper earthquake activity earlier. But we could see some further movement up around the China or even the Thailand area or northern end. Like I say, this area right here on the Java Trench does produce major quakes. Now, I'm talking more than a 6.7. And it's been a while since we've had a major significant event here. I'm talking greater than 7.0 in this area. So 6.7, that's a pretty large quake, but we can get them way up there. So got to be cautious there. Further activity in that Java Trench region. Middle East and the Mediterranean Sea, all pretty quiet. Atlantic Ocean did have 1 earthquake today, 5.3 in the southern mid-Atlantic ridge. So, yeah, just be on guard, folks. Solar storm conditions are continuing, and we'll see what happens as the night goes on. As you can see right there, KP index still up in the G2 category. Stay safe out there, folks. We will chat to you a little bit later. I'm going to get the live stream back up and running. I just did an update video. In fact, this is my second go around here doing the update video. So cutting it a little bit short. The other one was about 18 minutes or so. But we'll keep this one around 10 or so and get the live stream back up and running here shortly. Not for sure what happened. OBS system here, the software that I use to broadcast and record on, just froze up. I've never actually seen it do that, so it is what it is. We'll continue to move on and move forward. The stream was running pretty good until it froze up here, but I will get it. Live stream will be up here shortly, folks, so have a good night. enjoy the rest of the Sunday, your Sunday evening, and we will chat you guys a little bit later on. Have a good night, everyone. Peace out.